I am a theater director based in Beijing, China. And I'm visiting Oslo on this Artist in Residence program arranged by Safemuse. Chong.
Ellen.
Nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting you too. Welcome here to the City Hall of Oslo. I'm an actress primarily, but I've also been head of the National Theatre, artistic director at the National Theatre for 10 years altogether. Mm-hmm. And I've been Minister of Culture for 1.5 years, fighting for the importance of cultural dialogue, and that's what we're having. And been working very hard to establish and develop the Ibsen Festival. Did you work with Ibsen?
We did Ghosts 2.0. Basically, it's a performance set in contemporary China. We used Ibsen's Ghosts to examine, what are the counterpart situations and characters in contemporary China. In Chinese theater, it's very difficult to face the harsh situation in general, and people do not want to face it, and the regulations do not want you face it or to be critical in any sense. Culture is not to be critical in many people's views, but I wanted to be critical. The imagery, the symbolism we had on the stage were so shocking. It said a lot of direct things that I wouldn't dare to say in this conversation. You do say it aloud with body, with the set, in combination with a poetic text. Self-censorship is everywhere. Yeah. You want to, censor yourself before it reaches your boss, and the boss also censors before it goes to the public. Then through the layers and layers of self-censorship, what's to be shown to the audience actually would be reduced. So sometimes it's a game to be played with your audience and censorship. It's a complicated, network of meanings. So you wanna be safe in front of the censorship, and you also wanna be understood by your audience, which is not an easy job. Have to, hide your things somewhere, but people still can get it.
I think it's great that we have this conversation just in this town hall of Oslo, where our female mayor invited us for coffee before we had this talk.
Yeah.
And she's much supporting the freedom of speech and this system of dialogue.
In China, you would never expect to meet the former Minister of Culture and the current city mayor in a face-to-face manner. It's only us, not a huge meeting where the mayor greets 100 artists. I see a human in here. My knowledge of government buildings is that it wants to keep away from its people. People are afraid of the government, and the government is afraid of its people. Then you do not want to put the two things together to complicate situations. Then, here it seems very accessible, and nobody is afraid of anybody. That itself is very impressive for me. And also this portrait of the king sort of surprised me, because obviously it's not in a straightforward, realistic style, and with a face in shadow and in a not so straightforward way of being handsome. I was just surprised that this kind of work could be commissioned and displayed in such a formal way. They would be considered blasphemy, an insult to the royal family in some countries. So this definitely shows, the appreciation of artistic values, alternative styles, and also the freedom of artistic expression. This is just unthinkable for me.
But people in Norway discuss these paintings as well. Some people don't like them, think the king looks not like that, and he is much more beautiful. But the king and queen themselves, they really appreciate artistic view also on them.
You can tolerate different styles.
Yeah.
You can tolerate, different opinions. When people don't disagree, they say it out loud, and you also talk about your opinions out loud. That's what we call a society. I want to quote the now national hero, Dr. Li Wenliang. For dying, he said this: a healthy society should have more than one voice. That's maybe common sense to some countries, but that's what we need in some others.
And tolerance is extremely important in all aspects. Tolerance of being different sexes, different meanings, different people, old and young, and that's what it's all about in the end.
Yeah, totally. I do not speak whatever I want, even if I'm in Oslo, because there could be consequences if I go back to China. Especially, I'm a bit afraid of saying things out loud in front of the camera. I guess in some countries in the world, the risk is just simply too high, not only for the activists and artists, but for anybody to speak out in any forms. And freedom of speech is the basic for everything. You want to create new stuff, you want to be innovative, provocative, you need freedom. You need the free space where you can wonder and think and challenge and criticize. That's the very basics of creating arts. You have to have that first. Then maybe the result is you come up with something completely new, or maybe you come up with something not so interesting. But the first and foremost, you have to have something that sets you free.